Hello everyone, I am Archeo Detective. Today, we will uncover a shocking secret of Taiwan. In the deep mountains of Taiwan, never call out human names because there lives an ancient high-intelligence race called Moshinna. After the broadcast of our previous episode, Ancient Golden City of Taiwan, some friends left comments telling me that their grandparents, as well as indigenous elders, said they often saw glowing discs flying over the mountains when they were young. Even more terrifying, some friends mentioned that while serving in the military, during the night watch, a fellow soldier suddenly ran back in tears, saying he heard a child calling his name from the forest and even tugging at his clothes, truly terrifying. Locals believe this must be the legendary red-clothed little girl, Taiwan's version of Little Red Riding Hood, known as Moshinna. So, many Taiwanese friends asked, are these Moshinna real or fake? I'm here to tell you that what you've heard may very well be true. Moshinna are not a legend exclusive to Taiwan, like the Great Flood. They are a shared memory of human ancestors. In the Philippines, they are called Engkanto. In the Brazilian rainforest, they are known as Caipora, and on the islands of the Pacific, they are referred to as gods. These different names and legends all point to a mysterious, intelligent being. When humans enter their territory, Moshinna can emit high-frequency sound waves to control the intruder's brain, causing mental confusion and hallucinations. The affected person will lose their mind and keep running in the wilderness, climbing mountains, and taking risks as if on level ground. Whether you are a child or an 80-year-old, if you are affected, you will keep running through the forest until you are exhausted.
勤务车在蜿蜒的山路穿梭，路边男子挥手，消防局人员士气大振。
你是那个甘先生吗？
人终于找到了，因为这位甘先生已经失联5个小时。
On November 26, 2016, in Hsinchu, Taiwan, a man named Mr. Gan participated in a morning fitness event organized by his company. They were running around the second reservoir of Baoshan in Hsinchu, a total distance of only 10 kilometers, which takes about an hour to complete. However, when Mr. Gan was only 100 meters from the finish line, he suddenly disappeared. No one could find him. So everyone quickly called the police, and both the police and local residents mobilized a large search in the mountains. Finally, after 5 hours, he was found.
你是那个甘先生吗？哎，那你上我的车好不好？我醒来的时候在这森林里面。醒来的时候在森林里面。不算昏倒。
看似还能与消防队员正常对话，但甘先生已经不记得中间发生了什么事，那不是昏倒又是怎么回事？
眼神是很涣散。
Let's take a closer look at this case. Mr. Gan said that when he woke up, he was in the forest, but he hadn't fainted. According to video footage, when Mr. Gan was 100 meters from the finish line, he suddenly left the main path and ran directly onto a small trail leading deep into the forest. What exactly happened? Mr. Gan said, I have no memory of running onto that forest path. It was like I was sucked into a place I couldn't escape from, like being drawn into a black hole in space, drifting farther and farther away. The more you struggle, the farther you see yourself from the real world. Mr. Gan seemed to have entered a different dimension, surrounded by darkness, but with a few stars visible in the distance. He kept shouting in the dark, hearing his mobile phone ring, but still kept shouting. After about an hour, he suddenly noticed that the stars around him slowly turned into trees. Where am I? How did I end up in the forest? Wasn't I running a race? After being rescued, Mr. Gan was immediately taken to the emergency room because he was severely dehydrated, with a rhabdomyolysis level of 220,000 and a liver enzyme count of 4,000. Friends familiar with medicine would know that such life-threatening conditions only occur in people who have intensely run marathons. This suggests that Mr. Gan ran non-stop for 5 hours in the jungle while in a state of mindlessness. More importantly, when he was found, there was soil and miscanthus grass in his mouth. Locals said this is a sign that he had been summoned by the Moshinna of the deep mountains of Taiwan. The area around Hsinchu is very eerie, especially near reservoirs and streams, where many supernatural events have occurred. They all have a lot in common. The victims lose their minds, go missing, and when they are found, they are in a dazed state with soil and miscanthus in their mouths. Could this all be the work of the legendary Moshinna? Moshinna is a creature that exists somewhere between ghosts, gods, and monsters. Quantum physics suggests that, like ghosts and gods, they are invisible and formless, yet they wander the mountains like monsters. Based on the pronunciation of Moshinna, it can be inferred that they belong to the category of Shi Mei Wang Liang, as described in ancient Chinese texts. Shi is a dragon without horns, Mei is an alluring spirit, and Wang Liang is a water creature resembling a 3-year-old child. Combining these characteristics, could they be small reptilians? It's quite possible. But where exactly do Moshinna live, and what do they look like? During the Qing dynasty, it was recorded in the Juluo County Chronicles that the terrain within Taiwan's mountain ranges is steep, deep, and dark. It is the residence of the indigenous people and a place where ghosts and spirits hide. The Han people cannot enter or understand the situation there. Moshinna live in caves. According to the Taiwan Prefecture Chronicles, there are human-like creatures with animal faces, some with bird beaks like crows, and others resembling deer, pigs, monkeys, and muntjacs. They grow and multiply there. Moshinna has a human-like shape with bird-like beaks. From a distance, they resemble deer, pigs, monkeys, or muntjacs. The key point is that they hatch and breed in water, meaning they lay eggs and reproduce in water. From this, it seems that Moshinna could be related to the kappa of Japanese folklore. The Japanese kappa, also known as water tigers, are about 60 centimeters tall, with scales on their bodies, bird-like beaks, and webbed fingers. In Japan, kappa are classified as dragon-like water gods. Taiwan's Sanli TV once interviewed folk expert Lin Zhengyi, who recounted seeing Moshinna as a child while visiting Ligung Mountain near Wufengqi Waterfall in Yilan with his grandfather. He described Moshinna as having green and brown frog-like patterns and webbed fingers. When Lin Zhengyi's grandfather saw the Moshinna, he shouted, "Close your eyes quickly. If you don't close your eyes at that moment, you will be hypnotized and lose your mind by the Moshinna." In 1940, Japanese folklore researcher Ikeda Toshio wrote an article in the magazine Folklore Taiwan, recording that Moshinna is a red-clothed little girl wearing a red hat. At that time, Toshio and a man referred to as Mr. N were driving to visit an indigenous tribe. After their visit, as night fell, they began to drive home, but they got lost along the way. Toshio said that Mr. N, sitting next to him, seemed possessed, continuously muttering, "Musirin, Musirin." Upon hearing this, Toshio asked, "What are you mumbling about?" Mr. N kept saying, "Musirin, Musirin." This startled Toshio, who thought, "Are you talking about Moshinna? Could it be that we have encountered Moshinna?" So, what exactly happens when you encounter Moshinna? After studying hundreds of cases in Taiwan, I have summarized 3 key characteristics. First, getting lost. This isn't the kind of getting lost you see in wilderness survival situations. The kind caused by Moshinna refers to people walking on familiar paths, paths they've walked for 10 years, paths they could navigate with their eyes closed, and suddenly, one day it's as if they are hitting a wall. Suddenly, they get lost in the woods behind their own house. They can't find their way out and keep walking in circles for 3 to 5 days, finally collapsing from exhaustion. They are either rescued or die of starvation. There are many cases of this on YouTube. The lucky ones are rescued within 1 or 2 days, while others are only found after 5 or 6
但因为
days.
踩太多，老翁先背着20公斤的竹笋下山，没想到人就不知去向。这条路是老翁和太太每天必经之路，两老下午都会来这里健走运动。从马路到菜园短短不到5分钟，但明明菜园在左边，老翁却糊里糊涂地走向右边的山里。
Second, disappearance. After getting lost, disappearance occurs. This isn't your ordinary case of someone going missing. In Moshinna-related disappearance cases, the victim vanishes into thin air. It's as if they are lying in their backyard or somewhere near their home. Yet search and rescue teams, combing the area hand in hand, can't find them. Finally, after the family invites a local shaman to perform rituals, the missing person suddenly appears. They are found in places that the search teams had passed by countless times, but at the time, they were simply invisible, as if wearing a cloak of invisibility. Very strange. On July 28, 2014, in Wallin, an 80-year-old grandmother suddenly started running towards the road after using the restroom, and then she disappeared. The search and rescue teams, comprising 500 people, searched hand in hand, but they couldn't find her. 5 days later, after her family set off firecrackers and beat drums, the search teams found her in a rock crevice not far away. The grandmother said a red-clothed little girl called her and brought her to that place. There was also an elderly man lying in the grass not far from the search teams. They searched the area countless times, but couldn't find him. The old man said, "I saw you. I was desperately shouting, but somehow you couldn't see me." This type of disappearance is known in Japanese as kamikakushi, which literally means hidden by the gods. You've all seen Hayao Miyazaki's movie Spirited Away, right? At the beginning of the movie, a 10-year-old girl named Chihiro Ojino moves to a new home with her parents. They drive past a Toria gate, then get out of the car and walk through a dark tunnel, entering another world of gods and spirits, disappearing from reality. In that world, her parents indulge in a feast and are turned into pigs. Pay attention to the key moment. Before they enter the dark tunnel, they pass by a Toria gate beside a large tree with many small shrines underneath. Why is the film called Kamikakushi? It refers to a real place in the story, the Shirubiwata Forest in Chiba Street, Chiba Prefecture, Japan. The entrance to this forest is marked by an ancient tree with a Toria gate beside it. The forest is only 18 meters wide, but the sign says that since the Edo period, this has been a forbidden place, with the famous warning, "If you step inside, you will never come out again."
千葉県茂原市で17歳の女子高校生が先月半ばから行方不明になっていることが分かりました。行方が分からなくなっているのは茂原市に住む高校3年の中川さやかさんです。さやかさんは先月11日午後3時過ぎ、高校から帰る途中、自宅最寄りの JR 外房線本能駅で改札を出る姿が駅の防犯カメラに映っていました。
In the movie, Chihiro and her family enter this forbidden forest, beginning their magical journey. The film subtly hints at the story's background right from the start: the Toria Gate, the small shrines, the dwarf stone statues at the tunnel entrance, and the title, Kamikakashi no Sen to Chihiro, all indicate that this is a story about being spirited away by Moshinna. The dwarf stone statues symbolize that Chihiro's family has been captured by the Moshinna. The scene where Chihiro's parents gorge on a feast in the movie represents the third common characteristic in Moshinna cases: eating. When humans are bewitched by the Moshinna and go missing for several days, if they are found, there is always one common feature: they have mouths full of miscanthus grass, soil, grasshopper legs, or even cow dung. The victims often say that a beautiful woman or an elderly couple told them not to be afraid and offered them a grand feast. After days of running in the mountains, they were starving, so they eagerly ate what seemed like a banquet of chicken, duck, and fish. However, when they woke up, they found their mouths filled with disgusting things like grasshopper legs, earthworms, or cow dung. The motivation behind Moshinna capturing humans is very strange. It's speculated that when humans enter their territory, they use brainwaves to cause hallucinations, driving people away. But fearing the humans might starve, they offer some local delicacies, which turn out to be extremely disgusting. Therefore, after encountering Moshinna, there are two possible outcomes for humans. Half of them are found, while the other half, less fortunate, die. Among those who die, most starve after going missing, while others are poisoned by the delicacies given by Moshinna, such as insects or toxic plants. A small number of people, during their mindless running, fall off cliffs or drown in rivers. Therefore, Moshinna are indeed very dangerous. There is a Taiwanese scholar named Li Jiakai who studied over 100 years of mysterious disappearance cases in Taiwan from 1899 to 2010 and found that 47 of them were related to Moshinna. Take a look at this chart. Kamikakushi incidents have rapidly increased since 1990, primarily due to the development of the internet, which has sped up the dissemination of news. The actual number of cases might be even higher. Victims of Kamikakushi incidents come from all age groups, but the highest numbers are found among 10-year-olds and 80-year-olds. This could be because children and the elderly have weaker self-awareness than young adults. Children are too young and not fully aware, while the elderly's awareness diminishes with age, making them more susceptible to Moshinna's control. In terms of gender, the male proportion is as high as 61%, suggesting that Moshinna may prefer men. As for distribution, cases occur throughout Taiwan, but pay attention to the Taipei area, where the number of incidents has surged. Look at this table statistically. Most cases occur in mountainous areas. So, in northern Taiwan, centered around Taipei, including Hsinchu, Keeling, and Pingxi, I strongly advise against going alone. Records from 17th century missionaries indicate that in the mountains of Taipei's Yangmingshan and around the Keeling River, glowing discs brighter than the moon frequently flew through the night sky. The vast area within Taipei's Yangming Mountain National Park is the sacred land of the ancient Katagalan people, and Qixing Mountain is their holy mountain. Coincidentally, not far from the peak of Qixing Mountain is a famous historical building called the Yangming Book Residence, which was Chiang Kai-shek's last official residence. On September 16, 1969, at 5 p.m., Chiang Kai-shek was involved in the Yongfu car accident while driving along Yangdir Boulevard in Yangming Mountain. His car was severely rear-ended, leaving Chiang Kai-shek with a face full of blood. His chauffeur, Xu Da-sheng, was not a novice. He had been Chiang's driver for 30 years. They even had a lead car guiding the way, but no one knew what Xu Da-sheng saw that day. Suddenly, he mistook the accelerator for the brake, causing the crash. Later, Chiang Kai-shek remarked, "The Yongfu car accident took 20 years off my life. The injuries were very serious." According to local records, the area around Yangming Book Residence at the foot of Qixing Mountain was known as Moshinna Valley before the Qing dynasty. The local indigenous people avoided living in these mountains due to their fear of Moshinna. According to oral accounts from the time, the road from Juzihu to the Yangming Book Residence area was known as the Moshinna Ancient Trail. In the past, during the early morning and evening, when children went to school and villagers returned home, Kamikakushi incidents frequently occurred. Victims would disappear for 3 to 4 days, and when they returned, their mouths were full of miscanthus, and they appeared dazed, unable to recall what had happened. They only mentioned encountering small dwarfs and a red-clothed little girl, extremely eerie. In Pingxi, east of Taipei, this vast area is known not only for its abundant gold, but also for its rich coal deposits, leading to many coal mines. In the mountains of Pingxi, there is a cave known as the Moshinna Cave. Whether this cave was dug during coal mining or existed since prehistoric times is unknown, but one thing is certain: never enter this cave. Do you remember the scene in Spirited Away where Chihiro and her family enter another world before being spirited away? The first thing they do is walk through a dark cave. The cave they walk through is the Moshinna Cave. Legend has it that in the past, travelers or miners resting in the cave at night would suddenly be enveloped in a thick fog. If they opened their eyes at that moment, they would disappear into the vast forest, entering Moshinna's alternate dimension, never to return. On the stone paths surrounding Moshinna Cave, you can see that professional mountaineering associations have tied up guide ropes to prevent themselves from being captured by Moshinna. In Shilin, Taipei, there's the Moshinna Ravine. In Tainan, there's the Moshinna Cave. These ancient names are warnings from our ancestors. These places are very dangerous, and you must not go there. So, the question arises: how can humans avoid being captured by Moshinna? Based on the descriptions above, Moshinna have the ability to make people invisible and lose their minds. Their skin has frog-like patterns, they appear near lakes and mountains, and they are oviparous. We can conclude that Moshinna, Shi, Mei, Wang, Ling all belong to the dragon family. In the Vedic scriptures written in Sanskrit, it is recorded that in Baranag, India, and the Pindar River Valley, there used to be many lakes and rivers where the Naga dragon clan lived. Buddhist scriptures also record that the Dragon King frequently visited Shravasti city in the southeast to meet with Shakyamuni. There is also Mount Kailash, the sacred mountain of 4 religions, a very mysterious place. In the Sea Dragon King Sutra, it is recorded that dragons are prone to sleep, can change at will, and possess great wealth. They have 4 poisons: harming by sound, harming by sight, harming by breath, and harming by touch. The dragon clan can emit high-frequency ultrasound, harm people with sound and sight, causing humans to hallucinate and perceive the dragons as humans. The scriptures also state that dragons cannot become invisible when they are in 5 states: birth, death, lust, anger, and sleep. This means that in these 5 states, they cannot focus their energy to emit brainwaves that control humans, and at this time, humans will regain consciousness, and the dragons will reveal their true form. Pay attention to one of these states, Dvesha, which means anger, but in Sanskrit, it is pronounced Dvesha, meaning a state of irritation, annoyance, unhappiness, or dislike. Therefore, to break Moshinna's barrier and stop their brainwaves, humans must irritate them and cause them to feel unhappy and annoyed. How do we do this? By using high-frequency sounds to irritate them. For example, when hiking, carry a wind chime on your backpack, let it jingle as you walk, or set off firecrackers and beat drums along the way. All of these will disrupt Moshinna's brainwaves and cause the hidden person to reappear. The history of firecrackers dates back to when humans first used them to drive away shanxiao, a type of Moshinna in ancient China. If you search for news about Moshinna, you'll find that most of the surviving victims only reappeared after their families set off firecrackers. In Japanese Shinto rituals, handbells are used to produce high-frequency sounds to drive away spirits. Additionally, a very important point we mentioned at the beginning is that when in the mountains, never call your companion's name. Remember this well. Never say, "Peter, Jack, let's hurry up and go." If Moshinna hears the name, that person will quickly disappear. A name is the key to accessing the subconscious. As soon as you say someone's name, it is immediately validated in their subconscious as someone familiar, increasing your authority. This is why many scammers start by saying, "Peter, it's Jack. How could you forget me? Could you transfer some money?" And Peter is easily deceived. As we mentioned at the beginning, Moshinna actually exists all over the world. In the Brazilian rainforest, Moshinna is called Caipora. It also causes hallucinations in hunters who enter the rainforest, making them lose their way. Therefore, local hunters often place some tobacco on tree branches and say, "Toma, Caipora, daixa embora," which in Portuguese means, "Here you go, Caipora, please let me leave." Look at how Brazilians depict Caipora. It's a red-clothed little girl. In the Philippines, Moshinna is called Engkanto. It has the same function as Moshinna, but Filipino legends record that when a person is spirited away by Engkanto, they are taken to a mysterious continent called Baringan, which means the place of lost people. It is said that Baringan is a high-tech city inhabited by tall, intelligent beings with pointed ears and golden hair. But that's a story for another time. That's all for today. See you next time.